Welcome to Volume 11 RockTalk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music. Your hosts, Rich Hoffa, Rick Lawhorn, and Mark Dunn. RockTalk, Volume 11 Music.
Hey, this is Rich, Rick, Mark, and this is RockTalk at Volume 11 Music. Today we're going to talk about how we all ended up here at Volume 11 Music, what brought us together. And Rick, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to meeting Rich first. I've known Rich since 1986. We met at a really cool music store we both worked at here in town called Robertson's Music. A lot of great times, a lot of great people there. We both came on about the same time, on October of 86. Rich was doing sales and working at the drum department there. We got going really good. And I came on board as a very young guitar instructor, mainly doing rock-style guitar lessons, which at the time, nobody was really quite doing just that. There were a lot of great teachers, but they were doing like other styles, jazz and classical and bluegrass, and I love all the different styles, but we went to focus on rock-oriented music. So came on board, had a lot of great run there, a lot of great years. Long story short, the store ended up going out of business, so at that point, I needed to figure out, well, what do I do? I'd like to hook up with another store. Hadn't seen Rich in years, and luckily, it's like, hey, I'm going to start a new music store, and that became Volume 11. So we got this going. Well, I came on board probably about early 2022, about January, so it's been a couple years, and really happy to be on board here. It's a really great vibe here at the store, and glad to be here.
Yeah. So anyway, of course, back then we started at the music store in the 80s, and it was kind of fun. Rick came in a week later and started teaching there. And the owner of the shop, it was mostly band instruments, and he was a drum store as well, and they carried Ibanez and stuff like that. But he'd always go, nothing sells but a Strat. It's got to be a Strat-shaped guitar. And I started getting him to bring in like BC Rich and stuff, and then of course everything he told me it couldn't sell, we did. Of course, it was in the height of the 80s, so it was a lot of fun back then. And we had a cool store with different Ibanez and Hamer and a bunch of stuff. It was kind of a fun shop to work in. And then I ended up leaving. I got into another hobby, which was motorcycles. Got into racing. That took off and ended up in being a huge career for 27 years. I decided to leave the corporate world, started doing some consulting and stuff, and then started Volume 11 Music out of my basement, buying stuff and selling it online. And got to the point we hit COVID, got through COVID, and I go, well, what am I going to do? I've got all this gear. I've got to get either a storefront or just do a warehouse. And then I decided to really go for it. Something I've always wanted to do is open up a really cool music store, and so that's where we got started. So then Rick came on board, a few months later, and then Mark comes strolling in for the first time and met this guy. So yeah, what was that? How'd you end up here?
So that was January 22 for you to come in here?
Yeah.
Right, because Robertson's had closed up at the very end of 2021, and then Rich had just gotten this going.
Yeah,
so
we didn't have
January,
the studios built, so
right.
Okay. Yeah.
And my first week was when we had that massive snow blizzard.
Yeah.
So that kind of where we had no power for a week in January 2022.
So I actually think I came in ahead of that, right after you opened.
Yeah.
So, because back then, I'm a full-time musician. That's what I do, just like Rick. And I've toured all over the country. I think the only two states I haven't played in are Alaska and Hawaii yet. So taught in Atlanta, taught Virginia Beach, grew up in Norfolk, and 2020 with COVID was going to be transitional for me anyway. And when COVID hit, I actually started playing acoustic solo shows in Fredericksburg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And my first show was at Brock's 2 years ago, maybe 21. I can't remember, because it was so much fun during COVID.
Yeah,
so
COVID year.
Right.
That's right.
So,
it was a blast.
but I remember coming back, I think from a gig late, and I saw a music store sign. I'm like, oh crap, we're going to need to check that. I must have driven by 3 or 4 more times when I would be up here. And I think, because I had monster foot surgery that Christmas
Yeah,
around
yeah,
22.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I met you before that.
Right. Yeah.
So we stopped in one day, and I just rolled in. And I'm like, hey, and I had a conversation with Rich, which was great. I mean, I think I sat there and talked for like an hour.
Yeah.
And of course, I have a website, and of course, I'm sure he's getting approached all the time by people wanting to teach guitar, or teach, or just work in a music store. So I dropped back by like a month later, and I think you had done a pretty good amount of due diligence on my website.
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
the videos
yeah.
and
I
stuff.
checked you out. Yeah.
But it wasn't too long after that you said you were going to have some studios built. Because I think Rick was back there teaching like between the paper towel roll.
Oh man, I bought some partitions, and we had a 1 foot walkway and 2 areas and boxes all the way up to the
pawn
ceiling.
shop guitar lessons here.
That sounds like a house gig I had.
And then when we started doing the construction back there, I had to move Rick up there in the showroom.
So I got the tour. Of
So yeah, it was makeshift little studio there for a while. So
yeah. So as it happens, we three of us hang out and we do the music thing, and it's a lot of fun here. Yeah. I love living in Fredericksburg a lot. This is pretty laid back. It's a lot of fun to hang out, and the people here are great. And Rick and Rich have been very kind to me to come in as the interloper from all points in between and not a native of the area. So it's all good.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was one of the things too. Like with my vision of the store, it was all about certain gear, service, really good service, customer service, but also the lessons. There's so many players or teachers out there that can get a student only but so far. And I wanted what I call next level teachers, and so Rick, we played together, so I knew how good a musician he was and how good a guitar player he was. And then when Mark came in, of course I had to see if how does he play? Is he good? And so I'm sitting there watching some of his videos and stuff, and I go, man, this guy can play. And then he's doing Stevie Ray Vaughan on an acoustic and doing the solos on the acoustic, and I'm going, that's just not allowed. It's just it's hard. I mean, it's an acoustic, and his comment to me was, it's just 6 strings, man.
6 strings.
It's just 6 strings. So
do what you do.
Yeah.
So
sometimes 12.
Yeah, exactly. So for me it was great. I mean, we all hit it off. We got a great vibe here, and we have great conversations, and these guys are great instructors. So that for me was a big thing. I wanted to have instructors here. Somebody's been playing for 10 or 15 years. If they're stuck and they need somebody to get them to the next level, these guys could do it. And then we start having a bunch of really fun conversations, talking about the olden days back when we were growing up and stuff. But
y'all grew up?
Yeah, well, something like that. But that's why we wanted to put together this the podcast and stuff, and just have you guys in on our conversations and stuff, what we talk about. So yeah, it's been been a lot of fun. I think we'll have some really cool stuff to talk about and things like that.
Send some questions in.
Yeah, send some questions. I mean,
Aries O positive, April 3rd.
Yeah, that's right.
10.5 Converse.
That's right. Yeah, well, we've got some cool stories. I mean, these guys have played with famous people, and all. We've all met famous people. We've had some fun times playing music. That's for sure. Even though I haven't played in a real long time, I still had some great stuff. I mean, going to the NAMM show.
NAMM show back in '89.
'89, yeah.
I mean, Ronnie James Dio.
We dissed the keyboard player.
Paul Gilbert, Steve.
Oh, you know what? There's a commonality between us, though, that I found out.
You were there, too, yeah.
Well, not that.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
But we were all at the Monsters of Rock in '88.
Yeah.
RK Stadium.
RK.
That's the first time I met Eddie.
Van Halen.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were 75,000 people there. I wasn't like, oh, that's the guy I'm going to work with in 30 years.
30 years. Right. I know.
Yeah.
But I was a kid that day. That was a good one. So I think that's interesting when you share an event like that, and here we are all in the music store.
Yeah.
We teach music, and what a great lineup of rock bands.
Yeah,
that is.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think we all, the common way we got into music is kind of the same too, because like we were talking about it earlier. It's like I was listening to some Kiss, and actually the Osmonds, because the Osmond show was on.
Yeah,
yeah.
Remember watching that?
I learned Down by the Lazy
1976
River.
or so,
Yeah. And then of course, all of a sudden, Back in Black comes out.
Back in Black.
I was remembering too, staying up real late, on the weekends and watching Don Kirshner's Rock
I remember
concert.
that. Yeah,
that was great. I think it came on
Cable
at like
hit.
1
It was
o'clock
Night
in the
Flight on the USA Network.
Night Flight, I remember that. Yeah,
It was great.
Definitely.
Great. Yeah.
Late night rock show.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. And we're going to talk about new stuff too. Some of the bands that we discovered from. So a lot of it too is like just coming out. For me, because I'd been out of it. As far as like just listening to the same stuff for a really long time, and then opening up the music store and being exposed to some new music and stuff that you kind of it's got influences from the bands of the 70s and 80s, but they're out today.
Yeah, but Rage Against the Machine is on classic rock radio now.
No, I know it.
And that sucks.
I know it. It's like we're old now.
Yeah.
No.
What the hell happened?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's funny. I remember when they first said classic rock, the first real classic rock in this area. It was '86.
Yeah.
And at that
Twist and
point,
Shout.
they played a lot of, like you said, the oldies kind of things.
Right.
And they went up to about 1971. Like maybe Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who, in '71. Tumbling Dice by the Stones in '72. That was the first what they call classic rock. Now the other day I get in my vehicle, I started up. What I hear Nirvana and Soundgarden and Weezer, and that is classic rock now. Here, which is weird about
well,
it.
it's funny too, because you still have oldies, which is 50s music,
right?
But I think they just expanded classic rock. So it started in the 70s, and now it's through the 90s, I would say.
Yeah,
or halfway through the 90s.
It's just a musical Venus flytrap. If you're 20 years old, it's like, I got you.
Yeah, right. It's like your classic
rock.
Whether you want it or not, it's a classic rock.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like I think rock is really because we're starting to see it with some students and stuff. But one of the coolest thing was, gosh, when the Stranger Things episode came out, and the Metallica episode, and then it wasn't too much after that we started getting phone calls. It's like, hey, do you do guitar lessons? I'm like, yeah. My kid wants to rock. Do you teach rock? Yes, we do. But I know.
D. Snyder jumps out.
What do you want for Christmas, Johnny? I want to rock.
But I don't know. One of my favorite days was before we had the studios in here. Rick's up there in the front of the store with one of his students, and that had just came out. And of course, with no doors or anything, I could hear everything that was going on. So Rick goes, so we were working on Taylor Swift, and the next thing I know, he's playing Metallica and playing all this rock stuff, and she came out, and I'm going, yeah,
right.
And she was so embarrassed, but she's into it, and that's what she got into.
Well, I'm only in the music business because of Taylor Swift. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, right. That's it.
That, and I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, she's
How did that happen?
dating.
Okay.
She's dating Travis Kelce.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So. No,
but I remember some of the 15-year-old students that I still teach them, but they were like, yeah, there's this new band, Metallica, and they got this new song, Master of Puppets, and it's like, well, that came out in 1986 originally, I think, but with the Stranger Things, it was new to them, so it was cool that we could kind of reach out and say, hey, let's show you some cool music. And we started rocking out on some Metallica.
We've been around long enough to see the Master of Puppets, and come back around for the Pastor of Muppets.
That's right, yes. A little bit of Kermit rocking it out, moshing.
Hey, you had a funny picture. Well, not funny picture, but it was an interesting picture that you did. It's the whole Travis Tritt thing. Wearing the same shirt.
No, outfit.
The whole outfit
is the same. Like, I mean. It was a show in Atlanta. It's a 5,000 seat room, and we get there, and the tour manager for the act I was with was like, Travis is coming in tonight, and I'm only telling you because if you see him, you be aware that he's going to be in the room, and he doesn't jam with anybody, and just don't even mention that he's here. I'm like, whatever, I got a job to do. So we're about 7 or 8 songs into the show, and I got one of the stagehands came up to me and handed me a note, and said Travis is backstage and he wants to play TROUBLE, which is one of his big hits, and I guess our people had told him we knew that, and Call Me the Breeze by Skinner. So no one in this venue knows that Travis is there. It's pretty crowded. It's probably close to capacity. Bill, the singer, announces, it's like when he says Travis Tritt, it's like everybody just kind of goes, what?
Right.
Like it's almost like, wow, this is not supposed to happen. And, there's like a look of astonishment. And so I kick into TROUBLE, and Travis comes running out with one of my guitars that he borrowed. And a friend of mine happened to be in the very front row, and she had a point-and-click film camera.
Yeah.
Oddly, I think it's digital. I don't know. This is 2006 or 2007.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I'm not going to tell you what my lips are saying in the picture, but the picture is me facing Travis leaning back, and we're wearing not just the same tailored shirt, mind you.
Yeah.
But jeans, biker boots. And the jeans were cut at the end so that they would flare like bell bottoms, but not like bell bottoms.
Right.
It's the same outfit. And I was just,
that is crazy.
It was unbelievable. And it was, and on an interesting note, so, we're all in ear monitors, so there's no sound on stage except for the drums.
Yeah.
Right.
And the PA's flown, he had no monitors. And he sang perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a great singer.
It's just unreal. And then I went up to him afterwards. I said, hey, man, the next time you want to sit in with my band and borrow one of my guitars, can you not wear my outfit? And here's the thing. He didn't know.
Yeah.
Because he had only been listening backstage.
Yeah.
That is
And
so
the big
funny.
video monitors that, they show, how you get the monitors, they're only facing out.
Yeah.
So he's not looking at me going, oh, this will be funny. It literally was, nobody knew.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That's great. It's funny. Great
Yeah.
story.
Great story.
And it's a great picture. So
Great story.
I need to get him to sign that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Be sure and hit that subscribe button, and we're going to be coming back to you with a lot of good stories and a lot of fun conversations and things like that. So have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday night for Rock Talk and Volume 11 Music. Peace.
This has been an episode of Volume 11 Rock Talk Podcast, brought to you by Volume 11 Music.